We all know that it's not the things that we do occasionally that make us successful. It's the things that we do consistently. But how can you be and stay consistent day after day, week after week, when the thing that you're most consistent about is your inconsistency? That's the question I'm answering in today's video, where I'll be sharing with you 4 secrets to help you stay consistent and actually get things done. Hi, I'm Muna from Inside Out with Muna, where I help you build and grow your online coaching business and your personal brand. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to get notified every week when I release a new video. Now let me know if this sounds familiar. You have a new idea and you decide to create a new goal. You want to achieve this thing. You're so excited about it, whether it has to do with business and work or with your family, relationships, your health or fitness, whatever it is. You're so excited and you decide, this is what I'm gonna do. Day 1 goes great. Day 2 goes great. Day 3 gets a little bit harder. By day 4 or 5, you start noticing yourself procrastinating and finding excuses as to why you can't do that thing today. Next thing you know, a week or 2 have passed and you're no longer doing the thing that you said you're going to do. Does this sound familiar? I'm sure it does, because you're certainly not alone in this. So how can you get yourself out of this pattern of starting and stopping and starting and stopping? And how do you actually become consistent more consistently? Let's discuss. And make sure you stick around till the end, because after I've shared with you these cool 4 secrets, I'll be sharing with you an additional 2 bonus tips that have helped me take my consistency game to the next level, and I'm sure they will help you as well. So stick around for that. And while you're watching, let me know in the comments, what has been your biggest challenge or your biggest struggles when it comes to staying consistent? And what have been some of the things that have helped you overcome these challenges in the past? I'd love to hear from you and have a conversation in the comments. Let's just agree to one thing first. Everyone you see who has the level of success that you aspire to, the body, the relationship, the business, the skills, whatever it is, did not get there by chance. They did not achieve these things because of luck or because they did the right things sometimes. The way that they got to where they got was through doing the repetitive, the boring, and the hard things, and doing these things consistently. Look at your own life and the things that you've achieved so far, and you will see that too. You will see that everything that you value in your life, your friendships, your relationships, your health, your wealth, any of these things that you have achieved, the only way that you could have gotten these things was through consistent action. You know how important consistency is. That's why today I'm not here to convince you of why consistency is so important to you in your life and in your business. What I want to share with you are 4 secrets that will help you see consistency in a new light, and that will help you become more consistent by understanding these very simple yet not very obvious principles. So this video is not your typical goal setting, scheduling, planning video that will help you become more consistent. Although I do believe in these things and I think they're super important. That's why I have talked about them before on this channel, and I'll link to some of these videos in the description. But today I want to go a little bit deeper with you, so I hope you're ready for that. Let's start with secret number 1, which is you are not inconsistent. I often hear people using blanket statements about themselves as if they're facts. I am lazy. I'm always late. I never finish what I start. And the problem with these statements is the more we repeat them, the more we believe them. And none of them are actually 100% accurate. So if you're the type of person, for example, who always starts projects and never finishes them, and you call yourself inconsistent, well, guess what? You're actually consistent about starting and stopping new projects. That's what you're consistent about. If you're someone who's trying to lose weight, for example, and you eat chocolates every single night, you are not inconsistent. You are very consistent about the chocolate eating at night. By the way, I'm using this example because that is something that I have to deal with and that I have worked on over the years chocolate is my addiction, especially at night. So I was extremely consistent in eating chocolate at night. The reason why the secret is important is because I want to bring to your attention the fact that you are able to be consistent. The problem is, sometimes you're consistent on the things that you don't want to be consistent on. But at least now you know you have the ability to be consistent. And that's the most important secret of all. Secret number 2 is there's no wagon and there's no track to get back on. How many times have you heard yourself or someone you know say, I fell off the wagon or I fell off track? It's an expression that we use and that rolls so easily off our tongues. But these expressions are not innocent, simple expressions. They're actually dangerous and could be detrimental. Why? Because if you've been doing something every day and then suddenly you stop doing it for some reason, you stopped for one day. If you say to yourself, I'm gonna get back on the wagon, I'm gonna get back on track, do you feel with this language how much effort you need to put into getting back on this fictional, invisible wagon? What if instead you just say, I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and now I'm gonna do it? So wherever you stopped, you start again. The implication of getting back on the wagon or getting back on track, first, implies effort, like I said. Second, it makes you feel like you need to go back to the beginning, that everything that you've done so far doesn't count and you need to start over again. But the truth is, there's no restarting, there's no wagon, there's no track. You just stopped and now you want to start again. I know this is so simple, but I promise you, if you just let go of these useless expressions and convince yourself that being consistent is not about never ever falling off whatever wagon this is. It's about starting again. It's as simple as that. I know it sounds very simple, but it really is as simple as that. Secret number 3 is you don't need to be consistent all of the time. Now, I know this sounds counterintuitive because consistency is the topic of this whole video, and yes, consistency is super important. But part of the reason why many of us stop doing the things that we want to do every single day is because it feels like we're not allowed to take any breaks ever. And that's just not humanly possible. Maybe for some it is, but for the average person, you and I, we need breaks. And if we insist on being consistent all of the time, we're setting ourselves up for failure. That's why the secret here is to allow yourself some room for inconsistency. And you know how you can do that? By being consistent most of the time. So you can afford those times when you just don't feel like being consistent right now. You're going on holiday, you need a break, you just don't feel like doing it. If you've been consistent for a long time, you can afford to be inconsistent right now. So please, when you think about consistency, try to change it from every single day until the day I die to as much as I possibly can. It's really much simpler than we think. Secret number 4 is that perfectionism is the enemy of consistency. And this is a big one for all of us, because for many of us, we confuse consistency with perfection, or we combine the two together. So instead of the goal being, for example, I want to post on social media 4 times a week, it becomes I want to have 4 perfect posts on social media every single week. But the truth is, first of all, there's no such thing as perfect, especially when you're creating something from scratch. You're not copying something, you're not making an exact copy or replica of something, you're creating something that didn't exist before. So the whole idea of perfection doesn't even exist, but that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is that when we make the goal so impossible to reach, it makes us less excited and less motivated to even try. And the truth is, having 4 good enough posts a week consistently is better than having 1 amazing post every once in a while. Small, consistent action is much better than once in a while, amazing work, wonderful, incredible breakthroughs. Yes, these things can happen, but by the way, they can only happen after you've been consistent. So staying with the social media thing is, if you are posting 4 times a week, every single week, by the 3rd or 4th week, guess what? Your posts are getting better and better because you have been consistently posting. And with doing something consistently and practicing so consistently, you become better at it. And then you get closer to that perfection that doesn't exist, but to that perfect idea that you have in your mind. So let go of perfectionism, and please believe and understand that good enough is good enough. If you look at it with fitness, for example, yes, maybe it's best to work out for 1 full hour, 5 days a week, for example. But what if today you can't afford a full hour and you only have 20 minutes? Will you move your body for these 20 minutes, or are you going to say, no, since I can't do the full hour, then I won't do anything at all? This whole all or nothing mentality is standing in our way to becoming more and more consistent. So no perfection and no all or nothing. And I promise you that is what will get you to become more and more consistent. So now, with these 4 consistency secrets in mind, here are an additional 2 bonus tips to help you take your consistency to the next level. Bonus tip number 1 is to remember your why. Now, it's easy when you're working towards a big goal and you're focused on the day-to-day, boring, repetitive activities that don't really show much results in the beginning, at least, to lose sight of the big picture, to forget your why. That's why it's so important for you to keep reminding yourself of why you're doing this thing in the first place. So for example, if you're saving money and you're starting to feel tired of not spending the money on the things that you feel like spending money on because you're saving the money, because you're getting into this habit, it's so important here to remind yourself why you're saving this money in the first place. Is it for a vacation? Is it for a new pair of shoes? Is it for a down payment on a house? Is it to start a business? What is this money going towards? The more you remind yourself of why you're doing this, the higher the chances of you staying consistent with the small, repetitive actions every single day. Bonus tip number 2 is to celebrate your wins. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about the importance of recognizing and celebrating every single step of the way. Every time we do something that we said we're gonna do, it's so important for us to recognize it, to notice it, and to celebrate it. Now, I'm not gonna tell you how you can celebrate your own wins. Everybody has their own style. For me, it can be something as simple as just tracking, as seeing that I said I want to get into the habit of meditation, for example, to just have a calendar where I X out every single day that I've actually done the meditation that I said I was going to do. It just feels good for me, and it's part of what James Clear recommended in his book. But you can choose something else, whatever it is, for you to keep noticing where you have reached with the small tasks that you're doing and how much closer you are getting to your goal and how much progress you're making. So make sure you're not only looking towards how far you are from the goal, and to look back and to see how much progress you've already made. Now tell me in the comments, what of everything that we've talked about today has been your biggest takeaway? What is one thing that you're going to start integrating into your life? I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to hear from me on a weekly basis in your inbox, make sure you join my newsletter, where I send tips and tools and I share things that I don't share here on YouTube or on my social media. I'd love for you to become a member of the Inside Out newsletter that people really love, and I really enjoy talking to you guys over there. You can get the link underneath this video. Thank you for being with me this whole time. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.